I think really where my story sort of started was involuntary hospitalization. I was 5150 with suicidal ideation when I was 17. Um, and that's really where it all started. I never had any attempts or anything like that, but I was very depressed and just sort of lost. And, from there, I started with psychiatry. And that helped. I did a lot of therapy and sort of standard medications. Took SSRIs, SNRIs, duloxetine, and Zoloft specifically, and they were really helpful. They got me out of that suicidal ideation, but they were numbing, and they really didn't make me love life. They made me tolerate life, um, and eventually, I started realizing that, and I was like, okay, it's working, but it could be better. So then I started looking into ketamine, and I found Joyous really quickly. I chose you guys, sort of as a just off the cuff decision because you were affordable. I didn't notice, right off the bat that there was a huge difference at 15 milligrams, which you wouldn't expect. But I think once I got to 60, I really started seeing just like a change in the way I think. And, problems that used to really upset me now is like, oh, okay, that's happening. Oh, well, it really doesn't affect me anymore. Um, so no, it's been totally life changing for me going from, being in bed all day and not working and totally dysfunctional, to being in nursing school, finished my first college degree. All these things have happened since I've joined Joyous. Even SSRIs, I developed a really severe addiction to Zoloft, and it was I couldn't get off them. And then I started Joyous. Within 3 months of starting Joyous, I was off all of my antidepressants, and no withdrawals, no negative anything. It was like the most seamless transition. Um, and I've also noticed the ketamine like is not habit forming, at least for me, and I don't think it is for very many people. Um, yeah, I can easily go a week without it. It's like I don't crave that. I don't need that. It's a helpful tool, but it has to be used safely. And I think you guys do that partially through the daily check-ins, and that's another unique thing you guys do. I don't see that anywhere else with these surveys you fill out. And I remember in the beginning it was every day, filling out questionnaires, counts of your pills, all these things to keep us safe. And then I think after about 3 months, I was able to go down to weekly check-ins and then the monthly health check-ins. But I really like that you guys are safety focused too, because it's a controlled substance and we have to be real about that. So no, I just it's been great. Everything you guys do, I'm like, wow. So each trochee is divided into four sections. You can break them. So in the beginning, they send you 60 milligram trochees. So each quarter would be 15 milligrams. You start with 15. I know that dosing can be a little difficult for some people to understand because it's like math. um, but you dissolve them under your tongue. I'd say for me, the effects last about 30 minutes, and it's almost the instant onset, because it's sublingual, so it's absorbed through those veins that are in your mouth rather than going through your stomach, which takes a lot longer. We worked up in 15s up to 120, which is where I currently have been. Try to set an intention. And I always try to set that intention, whatever that might be. If I'm having a stressful day, it's like, let's think about why I'm stressed and what's been going on today that's making me so stressed. And I've noticed with the ketamine, it really, sometimes it can kind of make your mind race. And that isn't always a pleasant experience. But afterwards, it's like, oh, wow, I did a lot of thinking and it was helpful. Um, So no, it makes you think a lot. It's not psychedelic. You know, these doses are what do you call them? Psycholytic, I think you call them. So it's not scary. You know, you're not like drugged out, nothing like that. It's really very mild. I think in my first month, it was like a lot of tackling traumas that, you know, were sort of further back, you know, years ago. Things that happened in high school that I, you know, was still sort of needed to process, and it really helped me process those things. It didn't really affect my day to day at all in the beginning. And then, you know, in month two, once I had sort of felt like I had come to terms with whatever traumas were, you know, further back, I could start, you know, looking at right now. And then, like now, 290 days in, it's really a lot of like thinking about the future. And, you know, I'm going to nursing school, and, you know, my intention when I take the ketamine now is like, how am I going to do nursing school? It's 12-hour days, 5 days a week. It's really intense. But it's really helped me come to terms with how I'm going to do that in a healthy way. I mean, I know it's different for everybody. Like that's another big thing is like, you know, my experience has been, you know, sort of over the moon, great. But, you know, not everyone is going to have that reaction right away, and that's okay. But, you know, you talk to your nurse practitioner, you can have as many visits as you want, which is really cool. Um, so you know they'll fine tune your treatment plan, and something, you know, they'll find something that works. It might not feel like it's working right away. It did for me, and it does for a lot of people, but it might not, and that's okay. It did not feel like improvement right away, which can be a little difficult because then you're like, why should I keep taking this? But you know, I did a lot of research into it, and I was like, I expected this. I was like, okay, might be a little unpleasant at first, but that's okay. That's processing what's happened. It's not like your life is gonna somehow become more negative because of it. It was quite the opposite for me. So I think in terms of a timeline, not very long, a month or two really, until I started feeling a really significant improvement in anxiety and depression symptoms. I'm just like functional. I'm happy. I have a lot of other medical issues, and all my doctors are like, "Whoa, you're like a different person. You're like so friendly and happy and all these things." So I think a lot of it's been, you know, internal. Obviously I'm feeling better, and I feel like I can tackle whatever comes at me, but it's also changed my relationship with my friends and family. And you know, this really just changed how my mind works, you know, rewired, as we say, like big time, which is really impressive because that's hard to do. And I did, you know, 7 years of therapy, and it helped. I love therapy. I'm a big advocate for therapy, but it didn't fix things the way that ketamine has. I think, you know, ketamine was sort of that final stone, you know, that keystone that's holding everything, or not holding everything together, but allowing it to work. And you know, that's been huge. So it's just totally changed my life in every aspect. My parents say I'm different. My friends say I'm different for the better. Like I said, like asking for help is the strongest thing you can do. Signing up for Joyous is a form of that. And you know, we all need help sometimes, and being able to try such a cutting edge new treatment that isn't available elsewhere takes some bravery, because it's like this new uncharted territory. And you know, we all know antidepressants, but this is so different. And I can totally understand that there's some hesitancy there, and you know, it's a controlled medication and all these things that are a little scary, but and a new form. It's not a pill. It's a little different, but no, it's the strongest thing you can possibly do is to start. You know, and I can almost guarantee that it will help. It might not be your, you know, silver bullet, but it'll help. And I know for me, all I was looking for was some improvement. And I got a heck of a lot more than just some improvement.